Hello all and welcome to ETV Diplomatic Insight, our weekly program. In today's episode, I meet the Ambassador of Islamic Republic of Iran, Lakizadeh, and he is a permanent representative to the African Union. We're going to raise various issues regarding the diplomatic, historical, political, and economic aspects of the two countries. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you very much. Me too.
Right. Thank you very much for your time. Let me start from when was Ethiopia's and Iranians' diplomatic relationship status?
In fact, speaking about the diplomatic relation between Iran and Ethiopia, let me just to categorize it's into two categories. First of all, to speak about the cultural, speak about the historical point of view and historical background of our bilateral relation, which goes back to 2,500 years ago. Then, as the Iran and Ethiopia, as the members of the ancient civilization, as the big nations and big countries, always independent through the history, we made cultural ties as well as the trade and business commerce ties from early ancient time. During the ancient time, we had lots of contacts, not only limited to the cultural ties and also trade and commerce ties, but also we had some sort of the military cooperation even during the ancient time. That is because Iran and Ethiopia were sometimes very close together, even geographically, because sometimes we were neighbors to each other through Yemen and sometimes through Egypt. That is why you can find in some Iranian historical sites in west and southwest of the country the name of the ancient Ethiopia, Kush or Kushia, engraved in the stone on the and the rocks on the mountains, which go back to more than 2,000 years ago. That is a sign of the historical relation and tie between Iran and Ethiopia. You may have heard about Herodot, the prominent historian of Greece. He wrote in his manuscript that when the Iranian king, emperor, Persian emperor, invaded Greece, among his troops there was an infantry unit of the Ethiopians, which is a sign of our for our military cooperation even from the ancient time. Apart from that, when 2,000 years ago, there was 1,800 years ago, when there was a problem among the Iranian Christian society, because part of Iran at that moment were Christian, Ethiopian Orthodox Church sent a religious delegation to Iran to help that Christian to solve their problem inside their community. Then all that is sign of our bilateral relation from early ancient time and historical background. Coming back to the modern area, of course, we started our bilateral relation, our bilateral diplomatic relation, let's say, through a League of Nations between two world wars. After that, right after the Second World War, Iran established his embassy, his second embassy in African continent here in Addis Ababa. You may notice through that photo the picture of our Iranian ambassadors in that hall, in the ground floor, that we established our embassy and also our bilateral diplomatic relation since 1950. It's almost more than 72 years that we established modern diplomatic relation between two great countries and two big important nations. Of course, during last 7 decades of diplomatic relation, we had a different type of cooperation in different fields. During last 7 decades of diplomatic relation, despite regime change in both countries, but two great nations, they kept and continued their friendly relation. We signed the treaty amity between Iran and Ethiopia, between two nations, 52 years ago, which is another sign of the deep contact and cooperation between two important countries and two big nations.
Right, that's great. Currently, what are major areas you are cooperating with Ethiopia? It might be in economic aspect, investment, and other areas.
A good question. In fact, let's first speak about what is going on actually, currently. In fact, there is different field and aspect we are cooperating it at the moment. First of all is our diplomatic and political cooperation in the international arena. Within the international organization, Iran and Ethiopia cooperate with each other, support each other's candidacy, each other membership in different body of the United Nations and other international organizations. We support each other's stance based on our foreign policy as well, because both Iran and Ethiopia believes that unilateralism cannot work in this world, and we do support from both sides the multilateralism that are the area of cooperation between Iran and Ethiopia within the international organization and international arena as well. Secondly, of course, coming back to the bilateral ties, there is a good cooperation between Iran and Ethiopia in science and technology, let's say, in education especially. At the moment, there are Ethiopian students using scholarship granted by Iran. They are using this scholarship and studying in Iran in different fields, especially the medicine, which is Iran is a really important country in that field. Apart from that, of course, we have sort of cooperation in technology and in industrial part, because Iranian important companies provide technical assistance, and also we export technical and engineering services to Ethiopia from our side. Coming back to the trade, of course, also there is a trade cooperation between Iran and Ethiopia. We export, we import from Ethiopia, we export to Ethiopia, but to be honest, that trade volume between two countries is not too much, although there is lots of opportunities. That is what is going on currently. But let me to add that there is lots of other opportunities still uncovered, undisclosed. We can work in different fields, taking in account Iran's progress in, especially in the sophisticated, high-tech, important technologies, such as biotechnology, nanotechnology, you know, in all that cyber science, nuclear science, spatial science, they are even military science. These are the area in which Iran is really progressed and achieved its own achievement based on local knowledge and domestic science. Then these are the new areas which we can cooperate. These are the fields that still isn't used in our bilateral ties. Then apart all that field which I mentioned, we have cooperation currently. There is many other fields and opportunities we didn't use from both sides to cooperate for the benefit of two sides. Tourism also could be another field of cooperation, because you may know in Iran every year we have more than 10 million outgoing tourists, and if Ethiopia can attract even, or let's say at least 1% of those Iranian outgoing tourists, then it will be a great amount, and also could help both sides not only economically because tourism has its own income. But apart from that, also to make people closer to each other through face-to-face contact within the public diplomacy. Tourism is one of the pillars of the public diplomacy. Then that is one of the other areas which we can cooperate. Apart from that, of course, based on the past of our history, we are full of experience in different fields which we can share friendly without any expectation with our Ethiopian friends. These are also the new field of cooperation which we can use to further boost our bilateral relations.
Exactly. It is my belief too, the cooperation between the two countries will be further strengthened in the future. Right, as a country or sovereign state, both Ethiopia and Iran faces fair external pressures. As you have witnessed, Ethiopia is only, a country in Africa which was facing unfair external pressures, especially from the Western parties, following the conflict in northern parts of the country. Similarly, Iran has that kind of history. Iran has been facing various aspects of pressures from the Western as well, from different parts of the world. Now, can you please tell us the experience of Iran, how it curves or tackled the pressures from the Western part?
Toughest economic sanctions against Iran. Even just giving you a short, just a single example, during the Trump administration, they imposed 1,500 different types of sanctions against Iran. That happened only in term of one administration, and that wasn't all, because we received lots of pressure from all around the world, especially the Western countries. All that, and also we face imposed war, terrorist act. All that was supported and agitated by the United States and also Western countries against my people and my country. All that because of many reasons. One of the main reasons was that we decided to maintain our independence, from the ancient time. Because of that background, and also because we decided after overthrowing the war, and also using the social media and mass media by the Western countries to not only survive, also make progress, which is the case of Iran. Then really we gained lots of progress in this area, in which we are proud of that, and also we are completely ready to share our experience with the friendly countries, as I said. Then, which is important that we as Iran, with that experience, we are completely ready to share all that without any expectation with our Ethiopian friends through its correct and right channels, diplomatic channel and political consultation.
Great. We're going to take lots of lessons from the Iran, especially people in such situation to become like in unison, get united so as to tackle these kinds of foreign pressures. All right. Ethiopia and the Tigrayan forces recently agreed on peace process undertaken in South Africa, Pretoria, under the auspices of the African Union, because Ethiopia believes like African problems should be solved under the umbrella of the African by themselves. So it was a great news for us. So how do Iran observe this peace process?
First of all, let me to admit that this issue, this conflict in the northern Ethiopia, it's an internal issue of Ethiopia. As Iran, we don't interfere in the internal issue of any countries. That is first. Secondly, because of we had already the experience of the imposed war, separatism, terrorism. We understand very well the situation, the suffering of people from both sides within Ethiopia. That is why, although we don't interfere in the internal domestic issue of Ethiopia and any other countries, we tried during last 2 years to encourage both sides to the peaceful manner to resolve the problem, the conflict. We do support, that is the principle of our foreign policy, to support the peaceful resolution of every conflict. In line with this principle of our policy, we supported, we encouraged, we invited Ethiopians to try to solve their problem through peaceful manner and through dialogue. Engaging in the dialogue with the Ethiopian government, it was a wise decision taken by the Ethiopian authorities, which is admired and also admired by many countries, including Iran. Iran admired this policy of engaging into the dialogue to solve and settle this dialogue. The news we heard recently about the peace agreement in South Africa, that was really good news, important news. First of all, let me to express my congratulations in this regard. Ethiopia, as a big nation, as an important country with its historical background, really deserved that. And from the beginning of the conflict, personally, I was really sure that Ethiopia will manage this conflict very soon and very wisely, which you are in the correct and right path, in the right way. I hope that this peace agreement will be implemented correctly very soon to stop people suffering much more from both sides. That is important, really. Also, another principle of our foreign policy toward Africa, regarding the Africa, was supporting or endorsing the principle of African Union, African solution for African problems. Iran always supported this principle, this basic principle in Africa, not in case of Ethiopia, but in any other cases, other conflicts within the continent. That is a basic, essential policy, correct policy, which was endorsed and admired and supported by many countries, including Iran. Then, in that line also, Iran supports African solution for African problems, and with these two basic principles, you have Iran's full support in this process, and I hope that very well every problems will be solved, and Ethiopia and Ethiopian as a whole will overcome all problems related to this conflict.
What is expected from this group in order to bring about sustainable peace in the country? What is your recommendation?
Thank you very much. In fact, this conflict was a domestic conflict between Ethiopians. It wasn't a war between Ethiopia and other countries. People, Ethiopian people, from all regions, all ethnicities, all religion bases should be aware of that. That was an internal issue. Then all parties should make its utmost effort to prepare the ground for the implementation of this agreement. Because putting an end to the conflict, to the war, and engaging in the peace, in fact, will benefit Ethiopia as a whole, and Ethiopian people as a whole, not only this group or that group or government or regional government or regions. It is on the benefit of all parts and also in the benefit of Ethiopia as a whole. what I can recommend as a diplomat based on my experience, my personal experience, and also our experience when we were in imposed war with our neighbors, and also based on our experience with the some terrorist group in Iran and separatist group in Iran. Finally, we overcome all that problem because of the our people engaged all in the, and also paid attention to the unity of the country, unity of the people. Ethiopia is a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious country. The diversity in Ethiopia is an asset for the country. But this is like a coin. This is one face of the coin. The other face is the unity. The other face is the face of the diversity is the unity. I encourage Ethiopian people from the different region, different ethnicity, different languages, to be really attached to the unity of the country. And for the unity of the country, for the prosperity of the people, for the security and development of the country, everybody, every party, every group, every administration should pay some cost.
Sure.
That is important. That is important. You had a good experience. This government already established National Dialogue Committee, established another committee for peace for the negotiation, peace negotiation with the TPLF, and under the auspice of the African Union. I'm sure that all parties will sacrifice something to get the final result, final fruit of the peace.
You have stayed here in Addis Ababa for the last couple of years, and I hope you're going to stay for the following 2 years too. So let me ask you a couple of questions. How was your stay in Addis Ababa? How did you get the people? I hope you have traveled more than 25 countries in different parts of the world. So what makes it unique living in Addis in Ethiopia? How do you describe the hospitality of the people? This might be the last question.
Yeah, thank you very much to giving me chance to answer this question, to answer my feeling about beautiful Ethiopia, diverse Ethiopia, and very kind people of Ethiopia. First of all, I should admit that during my 3 decades of diplomatic career, I traveled a lot, and as you mentioned, and also I used to work mostly in Europe. Regarding Africa, this is my first assignment to the African continent. I am very proud and very happy that I started from the right point in Africa, Addis Ababa. This is not only the capital of the Ethiopia, but also is the capital of, political capital of the whole continent, Africa as a whole. And headquarter of African Union is located here. Then Addis Ababa is a privilege for every diplomat who would like to serve in African continent as a whole. Really, it's a privilege. Addis Ababa as itself, it's a privilege because it gives you or any other diplomats many experience, not only in bilateral but also in regional issues, international issues. I am very proud and very happy really to be assigned in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia as my first assignment in African continent. That is one. Secondly, when I came to Addis and I spent some months, I noticed lots of similarities between Iran and Ethiopia, which is great, which is important, which make me feel that I'm at home. Lots of similarity between Iran and Ethiopia. I may mention some of them. We both are among, we both were among the ancient civilization. Iran and Ethiopia both are true symbols of the multilateralism because lots of diversity in religion, in ethnicity, in language, in culture. Iran is also similar. We have lots of ethnicities, different Iranian citizens. Nation is completed and composed of different ethnicities, different languages, different religion. This is another similarity. The other one, which I mentioned earlier, that we both were always independent, never vowed to the colonialism. all that similarity made me to feel that I am at home. Also, we both are belonging to the Eastern community, let's say, to the Eastern culture. When I came to the Addis, I noticed that I am in Iran, because I noticed that people are really attached to the common values, to the familial values, the religious values. That made me really amazed by this similarity. Apart from that, to be honest, that in Addis, I am not a stranger. I am really, I feel I am at home. When I see every Friday people are approaching to the mosque, every Sunday, Saturday approaching to the churches, the most important thing here is the peaceful coexistence between people. Different religion, different ethnicities, different culture, different languages. The peaceful coexistence between the people in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia, is really a big asset. And that is a really good experience for me. Also, I noticed that if I can, I enjoyed a lot the nice weather of Addis Ababa. The nice weather, really nice weather. Especially Addis Ababa has a nice weather, and I personally enjoyed a lot this weather. Different tastes regarding to the Ethiopian cuisine. Every region, every ethnicity has its own cuisine, and really interesting. Apart from that, some other amazing thing to me, one is that I noticed few people smoke in Addis Ababa. That is very good for health. You know, it's interesting. I just saw few people in the streets smoking. Also, I noticed that every Sunday morning, younger generation, school pupils, they are just closing the streets for playing football. Really amazing. And the neighboring shops and houses, they don't oppose them. They facilitate the ground. They prepare the ground for them. They help them to enjoy making football in the streets, and also doing sport. These are the different things I didn't notice in any other countries I visited before. Then I enjoyed my 2 years of presence here in Addis. Although due to the pandemic, I hadn't chance too much to travel around to the countryside, but I'm planning to go and visit other region as well, which is important that I find Ethiopia really diverse, rich in culture, in diversity, and also very friendly, very kind, and very attached to the human values, especially the familial values. Right. All made my stay in Addis really happy and also easy.
Thank you. On behalf of our weekly program, Diplomatic Insights, and the institution I am working for, ATV, I would like to say thank you for your precious time.
My pleasure. As you said in Amharic, desilingal.
All right. Well, viewers, this concludes our today's episode. The time I've spent with Islamic Republic of Iran Ambassador to Ethiopia and a permanent representative to African Union. We have read several topics, especially on bilateral issues between the two countries. Until I come yet with another program, with another guest next time, have a nice time. Stay tuned with other programs of ETV. I am Mugaye Muluna, your host, presenter, producer of the program. Thank you very much indeed.